What's up, Next Gen Steelers, and welcome to my channel where we talk all things football and all things Steelers. From a young fan, for young fans. Well, that sure was not the ending we were hoping for. I think we were all really hoping that the Steelers could pull this one off so we could show the world the Steelers could beat really good teams. But nope, we just embarrassed ourselves once again this year and came away with not that much good to build on. But let's see what the Steelers did do well. Let's check out all the things they did not do well whatsoever. And let's check out our next opponent, the Cincinnati Bengals. The first thing that the Steelers did really bad in that game was just throwing the ball in general. Rodgers threw for just 167 yards, one touchdown, and two interceptions. Now, that is the first time this year that his interceptions outnumber his touchdowns. Now, one of those picks was very much Calvin Austin's fault. He basically just handed Dante Jackson the ball. But Rodgers in general just did not play well. He threw balls way too high. He threw them too short. He took unnecessary sacks. He didn't get the ball out quick enough. He just didn't do the things that Aaron Rodgers has done this year and has done really well. Now, he took 3 sacks, which doesn't sound too bad, but most of those sacks came on third down, and one of them resulted in 2 points for the Chargers. Now, whether these sacks were the fault of the offensive line or of Rodgers is up for debate. I think that it was both. Rodgers' stepping up in the pocket was way too predictable, and he just doesn't realize that he is 42 years old. For some reason, he keeps thinking he's 25 and can get up and run the ball if he wants to, or step up in the pocket and throw his deep balls, but he just can't do that anymore. He just needs to get the ball out quickly like he has been doing all year. Now, there was one particular play that resulted in an incompletion on what could have been a huge touchdown pass to DK Metcalf, where Broderick Jones just let a guy push him and push him and push him all the way back into Aaron Rodgers, forcing him to roll when he didn't want to. So that was definitely on Jones and the offensive line, but the other two, I don't think those were the offensive line's faults. One thing the Steelers did sort of well was stopping the run. Kimani Vidal had one of his in-between games. He's kind of bounced around between 100-yard performances and 30-yard performances. This was one of his few in-betweeners. There were some plays where the defense did a very good job. Vidal was tackled behind the line of scrimmage several times, but he also got quite a few chunk runs, so not the kind of stuff you want. But that is the direct result of having the defense out there for an unbelievable 37 minutes of the game. Another thing the Steelers did not do very well was penalties. Now, you see, the Steelers like to play efficiently, getting short gains and moving the ball forward. Not that there was much of that happening. But when you get a penalty, that really kind of shakes up that whole plan. For example, that 2nd and 1 in the red zone, where Caleb Johnson had that really nice 7-yard run, and Troy Fautanu drew a holding penalty. That shouldn't happen. That first down would have given the Steelers really nice positioning. We very well could have scored a touchdown on that drive. One thing the Steelers did do well, more like Jaylen Warren, not the Steelers, was running the ball. Warren averaged 5 yards per carry, and that's it without having a run of more than 14 yards. So that means that he was consistently picking up about 5 yards every run, rather than having just one 30-yard run and then a bunch of 2-yard runs. He was playing really well. He was breaking tackles, hitting people. We saw the hurdle. That was pretty epic. Although the undershirt situation after that was kind of embarrassing. But that's beside the point. The point is that Warren played really amazingly, and I just can't believe we stopped giving him the ball. He played very well running the ball. He had a few really nice catches and runs afterward. So really, this Steelers offense needs to be built around Jaylen Warren, not Aaron Rodgers. One thing the Steelers did not do very well was covering Ladd McConkey. Now, they did a decent job covering Keenan Allen, and that was very good of them, but Ladd McConkey was left open way too often, and I'm not just talking about the 58-yard catch or the 15-yard touchdown catch. Those kinds of things were mostly on Brandon Echols, but there were certain plays where it just looked like no one was in the middle of the field, and it's not something new this year. One last thing that the Steelers did really well was the pass rush. I should check the stats for that, don't you think? I should probably do that, like check how many sacks the Steelers got before starting to talk about this kind of stuff. 1, 2, 4, 5. 5 sacks, that's pretty good. The Steelers' edge rushers got 5 sacks, which is pretty good. And they also brought pressure on a lot of throws that forced Justin Herbert to throw incompletions. He only threw for about 220 yards, so that's pretty good. So, of all the people that are going to get blamed this week, I don't think the defense should get very much of that, because yes, they made some mistakes, but all in all, they did continue to progress in the right direction. Now let's try and put this whole game behind us and look to the future, where the Steelers can extend their lead in the AFC North with a win against the Bengals. Now, the last time we played the Bengals did not go very well, and you can say whatever you want about the short week and how Tomlin's not good on those. But the Steelers' defense just wasn't good. There were way too many of those quick slants and easy completions for Joe Flacco. This week, that's got to change. The Steelers have to do a better job covering Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and that is a tall task because these are the two best receivers in the NFL right now. But it is going to be necessary for victory. Also, the edge rushers have to continue to get after the quarterback. TJ Watt played pretty well, Alex Highsmith played amazingly, and Nick Herbig continues to see the field more often. That's all very good stuff, but it's got to continue, and it's got to go into effect against the Bengals. Also, on the defensive side of the ball, the Steelers will have to stop the run. You just can't allow Chase Brown to average more than 9 yards per carry and expect everything to be fine. So stopping Chase Brown is just as important as stopping Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Because if Chase Brown is running all over you on every single play, your edge rushers are not going to get time to get to the quarterback or get into the backfield at all on any play. On the offensive side of the ball, the Steelers have to establish an identity. They have to decide what they want to do as an offense. Right now, they've been doing a little bit of everything, and that has worked to some extent. But sooner or later, they're going to have to decide what they want to be known for as an offense. My opinion on that is that they should be known as an offense that runs the ball. Jaylen Warren has got to get a lot more touches than 14 this week, especially if he's still averaging 5 yards per carry. Kenny Gainwell did not get a single run in the Chargers game, and while Caleb Johnson got 2, they only went for 3 yards. Now, one of those I personally think was just a bad play call, and the Chargers just saw right through it. The other one was a pretty decent run, and the other got nullified by a penalty. But just seeing him more out there on the field, we have 3 very good running backs, and they're good at different things. We need to be able to utilize them all while still making it clear that Jaylen Warren is the bell cow and that he's going to get the most touches. Also, that is going to help the Steelers execute way more play-action passes. Remember week 1 and how good the Steelers did in pretty much everything related to the passing game? Well, guess what? 3 of Aaron Rodgers' 4 touchdown passes in week 1 were really nicely drawn up play-action passes. One was to Ben Skoranek, one to Jaylen Warren, and one to Calvin Austin. But I want to see the Steelers this week run the ball so hard that every time a running back is in the backfield, the Bengals are going to think, oh no, here they come again. And then Aaron Rodgers can drop back, fake the handoff, and then throw something crazy downfield to DK Metcalf. Speaking of DK Metcalf, he did not have a very good game the last time we played the Bengals. He had that one crazy catch, and then everything else was just 2 catches underneath for 6 yards and 5 yards. That can't happen this week. He does need to see more touches. Now, the Steelers did reach a point where they were just trying to get the ball to DK Metcalf on every play, and that was not working. But there were a few of those short third downs where I saw DK Metcalf one-on-one, and I was like, man, if they would just throw that screen pass to him and let him fight for it like he did in New York and earlier in the year. The Steelers really just need to use him when it counts. Like, even a short gain on the 3rd and 2 still would have been better than no gain, which is what they got. Speaking of receivers, Calvin Austin had a terrible night. He had 2 catches for 14 yards, and he only caught those 2 passes out of 7 targets, and one of those was a pick. Now, he can be better. I really think he needs to get better, especially with his hands, but I also would like to see his usage get a little better. Against the Colts, we saw more short and intermediate throws. We saw that screen play on 2nd and 1 and how well that worked. I'm not saying to run that play every time you want to get the ball at Calvin Austin, but I'm saying just run the plays that work. If that's the play that worked, even if it was just for a short gain, then run that one. But what's necessary for that play to work is very good offensive line play, which is another thing we need to see against the Bengals. Trey Hendrickson is actually doubtful to play this week again, so that could ease the burden on the offensive line. But Rodgers getting it out quickly, and the offensive line just doing their job, blocking people, would really help us get those chunk plays downfield. Shout out to RG Grable1981. He predicted a 31-24 win for the Steelers. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Hopefully, it's the case this week, because I am sticking with the same score for this week's game against the Bengals for my prediction, 31-24. Please let me know your predictions in the comments below. Here we go, Steelers, and I will see you next week.